All right, we're live. I don't know what I just watched, but we're live to talk about it.
Ah!
We will give you a chance to vent. Cannot imagine anybody that is an Alabama fan enjoyed watching that. That was about as bad as I have seen Alabama play in the Saban era. And I'll include 2007. I did not watch a play of the La Monroe game. I don't know if I've ever said that publicly. Um, so I don't think I missed anything there. But having not seen the La Monroe game, Dunaway in Saban's first year, that's as bad a team as I have seen under Nick Saban right there.
Was that pay-per-view? Because I didn't go to that game either.
It was, I think it was on the very front end of ESPN Plus. And I remember I was out of town on a family trip and we just didn't have a way to stream. I mean, I think it was on the very front end of smart TVs and things like that in streaming. We just didn't have a way to do it. Lance is going to jump in here with us. Welcome in, Lance Taylor, everyone. Lance, we were just talking. I did not watch the La Monroe game back in 07. I was on a family trip. It was Dunaway said it might have been pay-per-view. It was streaming or pay-per-view or something. I had no access to it. That's as bad as I've seen a Saban team play. Having not watched the La Monroe game, that's it. That's as bad as I've seen one play.
I don't know if it's talent evaluation because all these guys were getting recruited by the Ohio States and the Georgias and the Clemsons of the world. So it really doesn't make any sense. But that quarterback play, 10 of 23, I can't remember quarterback play that has been that bad. And how you go from a Bryce Young, arguably the greatest quarterback in Alabama history, to what you've got now and Milroe not playing. I thought I was listening to the broadcast. Did they say Milroe was hurt?
No.
They didn't say that in the TV broadcast.
No. I mean, I didn't hear. I didn't hear. Maybe one of the camera guys that took a quarter and a half off reported that, but I did not hear Bob Wischusen or Robert Griffin say that. Dunaway.
Yeah.
I do think Saban gave you the answer though why they went to Ty Simpson coming out at the half when Chris Budden asked him about Ty Simpson, and he said, well, he was the one that practiced best for the backup role. That's not a direct quote from Saban. That's essentially what he said is he was the one that practiced best for the number 2. So it makes it sound like Milroe did not accept. I'm not going to say he didn't accept it well. He must not have had a good week at practice because he was number 3 today. He was not even the backup.
That's right.
Go ahead, Dunaway.
No. That's the way I read it too, Brown, because and Nick said when I was on the show the other night that he thought it had been a good week of practice. He said, you never say anything, but he too thought practice was different the week of the Texas game, but he thought they had responded well. But that's the way I took that too. If you start one guy, then you say the other guy practiced better for the backup role. That means he practiced better than Milroe. I don't know about an injury. I didn't hear that. I assume that's why our man Tyler Booker wasn't out there, was an injury. But I don't know that for a fact, but he wasn't out there. So that's where I think we are on the quarterback. Maybe they just knew that Ty Simpson could hold on to blindside hits and not fumble the football, because with Proctor over there, you got to be good at something. And Simpson took the blindside hit better than anybody in college football today.
I mean, I don't know what to say. This is crazy because, I said this yesterday and some people were like, you got to be kidding me. When I said there's 7 losable games coming up after South Florida, I didn't think South Florida was a losable game. This is a team that got their ass whipped last week by Western Kentucky. And if you watch Western Kentucky, Ohio State could have scored 100 on them.
Destroyed them, yeah.
Yeah, I would say this, and we're going to jump into this, and we want 1,000 reactions from you guys, because that's why we're doing this. We want reactions from the Alabama fans, but just I mean, everything, Lance and Ryan, like from the snap, none of the snaps, they're either too hard or the guys aren't good at catching. It seems like, Ty Simpson's catching him in his gut and then getting a grip on the ball, which is just slowing everything. Nothing they do offensively or defensively looks like it's at full speed. And that's from the snap to the end. Nothing looks like it's at full speed. It's like it's 70%, like it's some kind of half speed practice. No contact practice. They don't look. South Florida had the same speed and maybe better speed on the field today, at least look wise, that as the play went on, as Alabama did today. And we all know that should not be the case. We look at recruiting rankings. So from the snap to everything, nothing looks like it's smoother in full speed. Nothing.
Yeah, and here's your fear if you're an Alabama fan. I don't know what you guys think. So I still think the defense is really good. Against the run, they weren't good today, but I still think this defense will keep them in almost every game. But the problem is offensively, you can't get any pass protection. And I'm afraid that Tommy Rees is going to start to hear. I think he's going to get all the blame on Monday. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think Reese is going to get crushed. And if he starts listening to this kind of stuff, then he starts not going with his gut. He goes against it. He gets a little conservative. This might end up being an absolute mess.
Well, in my timeline today, I cannot tell you how many tweets I got Major Applewhite 2.0. And we all remember that was what was that, 2007, Brown? That was the 2007 year.
Yeah, it was. He and Joe Pendry.
But is it play calling? I mean, I don't know if it's play calling or not.
I mean, the play calling doesn't look good, but if your left tackle can't protect your quarterback and their backs are so bad at picking up the blitz. Did you see that one time?
Yes.
I don't know what Jason McClellan was doing. It looked like he was trying to get the guy to dance with him. I mean, that was the worst blitz pickup I've ever seen.
I thought it was, like somebody had been introduced at an Alabama basketball game and part of the starting lineup, and he was patting him down. I mean, hell, I didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't blocking him. He did not attack it with the ferociousness you want if somebody's going to protect you.
Thing I'm sure of, Lance, I think Roy Dale Williams is their best running back. That's the only thing I'm sure of.
I believe the complete package. We really don't get a look at Jam Miller and Justice Haynes, and apparently they can't block because they're not in there. But Daquan Evans looked like Lawrence Taylor today. I got to be honest with you. I really didn't know who Daquan Evans was coming into the game. Did you guys?
Plays for South Florida. Why would you know
who did? I mean, they got a Russian coaching them. I mean, it was like it was an Olympic game, and I just watched the Dream Team barely beat some Slavic team in a pre-medal round game, and we're going to talk about the Dream Team. Is it over?
Hey, coming into this year, Daquan Evans, I just checked. He's a sophomore, redshirt sophomore. He's had 4 solo tackles in his career, and he had 3 sacks against this badass Alabama offensive line that was going to go out and they were going to punish people this year. Yeah. Man, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys, if I put the over-under at 3.5 losses in the regular season, where do you go here?
After right now, I'd take the over.
Wait, 3.5, does that count Texas or 3.5 more?
Yeah, Texas, so 3 more losses, so 8-4.
Oh, I mean, that team that played today, I can't, other than Chattanooga, I can't think of anybody they beat.
Alabama, absolutely. Now, Ole Miss is just starting, but they have their hands full next week. I don't know. I mean, if you can't dictate against South Florida any better than that, what are you going to do against an SEC defense?
Now, I will tell you, I'm not a believer that what you see today is what you're going to see next week and the week after. You can improve, and coaches can get better, and matchups are different. But if that team that played today plays like that anywhere on the schedule the rest of the way, they will not win that football game, because Miss will beat them, Arkansas will beat them, Texas A&M can beat them, Auburn can beat them in Jordan-Hare Stadium. You name it. Kentucky can beat them in Lexington. That team that played today, unless they improve and do something different, that wasn't even the same team that played last week against Texas. That was
so you're talking about
not even the same speed.
In what we saw from LSU going into Starkville, that's an improved team. That's like, get your shit together. We got embarrassed in the second half against Florida State. We need to turn the corner. And after that first quarter against Grambling, I mean, they are playing lights out football right now. Again, we don't know much about Mississippi State, but the way Jaden Daniels played today and Malik Neighbors, Malik Neighbors looked like Justin Jefferson.
He did. That was a heck of a combo.
And if anybody's writing down my quotes from this just to publish them later on, here's one more for you. I felt, honest to goodness, like I was watching something from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. This is the way football felt before Nick Saban came to Tuscaloosa.
Brandon Avalos. I thought about Brandon Avalos today. I really did.
I mean, this was, you pick a coach. It was Mike Shula. It was Mike Dubose. It was Dennis Franchione on a bad day. It was Gene Stallings on a bad day. It was Bill Curry on a bad day. It was Ray Perkins on a bad day. You pick any of them, and this did not look anything, as Brown said, like a Nick Saban coach team. Even when he first got on campus and had to start rebuilding it, did not look like it. Looked like it was a bunch of impersonators out there.
Well, real quick, it looked like, as you say that, it looked like a team that is starting to try to build an offense and an identity. And we're talking about year 16 now, or is it year 17 for Nick Saban? I forget. I am completely baffled on how you go from the quarterbacks that you've had and the receivers you've had to what you have right now.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely baffling. Of the quarterbacks you saw today, you saw two quarterbacks. I mean, Ty Simpson's obviously the better choice of those two, right? Did I see something different?
Jalen Milroe is your best. And
there's no doubt.
Yeah. If Lonergan is as good as people say behind the scenes, Nick Saban doesn't need to worry about these guys transferring. Hey, transfer. We'll get another guy in.
Please.
Yeah. They need to play the best guy because they are, the fortunate thing is they're 2-1. You still have everything in front of you. But, boy, you got to make a change quick because that offense was awful.
Well, I mean, some Alabama fans believe that they do not want to put Lonergan out there right now. And I don't buy into this, but there have been some that have told me, they don't want to put Lonergan out there because if he's so good that the Sayan kid will not end up signing, will not come next year. You can't play that way. And I don't think Nick Saban plays that way. So at some point, you've got to decide, is this Jalen Milroe's team or is Lonergan any good? Because if Lonergan's not part of the solution, then it's not Buckner. It's either Ty Simpson growing up or Jalen Milroe. And I agree with you. Right now, it was Jalen Milroe. I told you guys all week it would have been Jalen Milroe for me today because I didn't think it was just the quarterback problem. That offensive line. Oh, my goodness, that offensive line.
But Buckner and Simpson, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, they were both 4-star guys, right? Maybe one was a 4 and one was a 5. Yeah. So just because these guys are, they've got a 4 or 5-star next to them doesn't mean they're going to equate to being really good college quarterbacks. And I do put some of this on the coaching. I mean, you've got to be able to develop these players. And Alabama, I was talking about this and I brought it up on the show before. You've got Matt Hasselbeck breaking down Mac Jones' film last year. And he's like, got to take a timeout. He was like, you've got Jerry Jeudy, you've got Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle are his 4 wideouts. And now you just don't get – I mean, there's not one guy that would have seen the field with those guys.
No,
and the talent at Alabama.
Yeah, and Daniel Jeremiah hit on that, by the way, as he was breaking down Bryce Young. He's like, here's what Bryce Young is going to have to get used to in the NFL. When you're the quarterback at Alabama, there's not a safety in the world that's going to creep up. They're scared to death of the talent that's all over the field. And he said, now you're in the NFL. Those safeties, man, they're standing right there in concrete. They are not backing up. And everything's going to be in front of those safeties now. That's not the way it is at Alabama. Well, guess what? Alabama doesn't have those receivers anymore. I mean, who fears Alabama's receivers? What receiver would you fear?
Not South Florida. They were stacking the line. They were blitzing. Right. They were shooting gaps.
They were going for it on 4th down nonstop.
Yep. I thought their coach screwed that up, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean, he should have played field position more. Alabama's offense is awful. Why not run them deep?
Well, and this happened, was it last week too? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so Sarkisian kept them in the game by going for it on 4th down when he should have won it because Alabama wasn't going 80 yards. I mean, Alabama's offense, I don't want to say it's awful, but it is awful compared to what it was just 2 years ago.
Yeah, it has regressed for sure. So you guys, if Milroe wasn't suspended, and I'm looking, Dunaway, I know you are too, maybe at Nick Saban comments to see if he comments on that because people are asking, was he suspended? He was dressed. They showed him coming out of the locker room. Saban is just now starting his postgame, so we'll see. If he's not suspended, I mean, you go back to Milroe against Ole Miss, right? That's the only call?
I 100% go back to Milroe, regardless if he was suspended or not, unless it's Lonergan.
If he's not suspended for the Ole Miss game,
yeah. I'm just saying that it's I'm always leaving open what's behind door number 4 in this situation, just in case. But if nothing's behind door number 4, then yes, I go Jalen Milroe, and I scrap the way we play offense, and I go and we run and we option it, and we throw some pop passes off of that, and and all of that. We don't try to do it like we've done it in the last couple of years.
No, I agree. You got to go Milroe, and I think the offense is a little more conservative. It's not going to be fun for Alabama fans. Again, the defense is dominant. I think you utilize the tight ends a little bit more. And I know that the negative on Milroe is he's not consistent as far as accuracy when it comes to the intermediate routes. But I think you got to go a little more conservative. Roydell, Jace McClellan running the football, let the defense take over. And this is so bad because I was in school during this time, and you love winning games, but 10-7 is not a fun outcome anymore.
No.
But if you're an Alabama fan, it's almost what you've got to hope for moving forward in the SEC, because I really just don't see an explosive offense. I don't see it on any level. Even with these running backs, they're solid. The offensive line's obviously shaky. You don't have a dominant receiver, and obviously you don't have an elite quarterback.
One person, a fan from Baltimore, sends me this. I'm not prone to hyperbole, but I think we're seeing the end of the era. I'd like to think the coach is smart enough not to drag us through multiple years of Paterno and Bowden-like years. I don't know how much of that you'll get this week. I think it's maybe a little premature for that, but that will be part of the discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's looking for signals that Nick Saban's on the way out the door. People are talking about, he just doesn't chew ass anymore. You see the kind of play they get, and he never jumps anybody anymore. Clapping, encouraging, just how much he's changed. People are pointing at how bad this staff is. Some of those things may be true. All may be true. I don't know, but there are a lot of questions answered in Tuscaloosa. I don't even know where you start right now.
I don't know how it turns this quickly. I mean, you guys, again, it's a long season. They're 2-1. They can end up 11-1 college football playoff, and we're all like, damn, we look really stupid. And everybody was panicking. But I really can't remember. I'm trying to think of something that has turned this quickly on a dime with a dominant program. You see it in the NFL a lot.
Yeah. Not even Miami. Like when Larry Coker took over Miami, it was a steady decline. I mean, they didn't turn on a dime. They played for a national championship. Just kind of started tailing off.
You know what? I'll give you an example. I think it was just a few years ago, and I think it was when Trevor Lawrence left Clemson, and Clemson was really dominant, and then DJ took over, and we thought DJ was going to be really good, and the offense was awful.
Yeah, that was wasn't that a 10-win team? Alabama can take 10 wins right now and not even ask a question.
Yeah, but I
10-3.
I still think Alabama could be a 10-win team, but that's kind of what it looks like. I mean, Clemson was winning games 17-3.
Brent on our Twitter feed here. Today, all of a sudden, it's like hitting a cow, totaling your car. The cow is crapping everywhere, and you're crapping everywhere. Nothing's gone right, and there's crap everywhere to clean up, but at least you're not dead.
Oh, man. Nick Saban says Tyler Booker, by the way, had back spasms, which is why he did not play. So that was why our guy Tyler Booker was not in the game. Many of you were asking. He did not mention on whether or not Milroe was suspended. He says this on quarterbacks. We're going to evaluate the guys that played today. We're going to evaluate Jalen Milroe in terms of how he played and decide this week who gives us the best opportunity to be successful. So that's what Nick Saban says about quarterbacks moving forward. If he says anything about a Milroe suspension, because many of you are asking, I will tell you.
If he needs us to weigh in, I mean, I'm going to vote Milroe is your best shot at winning a game.
What I'll say on Lonergan, Dunaway, you were mentioning why they may not be playing him. I look at Lonergan maybe as a little bit like when Derek Carr got drafted by Houston, and Houston just didn't have a good enough offensive line in front of him, and the guy got hit so much he got shell-shocked.
Yeah,
I would fear that for Lonergan. I mean, these guys cannot protect a quarterback. That's why I really think that's why you got to play Milroe. If all other things are equal, he's the best athlete of the bunch, and that's who you're going to have behind this offensive line.
Sports in 5. Someone teach McLaughlin how to snap. Proctor has to go. Simpson is our quarterback.
I don't know, man. Those two he is, Lance.
Yeah, of those two, probably so. Buckner was awful. And he was the same Buckner I saw last year at Notre Dame. I wasn't optimistic about Buckner coming into this game. I'll tell you, man, if I'm part of this Alabama collective, those guys need to start spending some money. Yeah. And there's got to be coaches on this staff that can develop these players because, I mean, Alabama was a finely tuned machine. And again, they only lost 2 games by 3 combined points last year. but this Alabama team looks like a shell of what it looked like last year. But they've got to get the right coaching staff, the right players in. I mean, it's a complete mess from what we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yep. There's no doubt.
Michael jumps in and says, I don't know if they keep their record. I don't know if they keep this record, but if they do, Alabama has to be approaching the record number of touchdowns called back by penalties. They have to be on pace for the record.
Yeah, but the one that got called the touchdown pass, and I get it. I know
the kick return too.
Well, the kick return, I mean, it was a hold, right? I mean, you guys.
It was a terrible hold, but it was an unneeded hold. He was going down. But, even without the hold, if he just would have gone on his back, the defender's already out of the play.
Touchdown pass, if the guy doesn't hold, the quarterback gets killed. So, I mean, it's one thing to say it came back because of a penalty, but without the penalty, it's never a touchdown. It's a sack.
Yeah. And Tyler pointed that out on Talk of Champions this week on the penalties last week. If they don't hold here, you don't do this, this and that. Right. So sometimes you hold, and that's how you get the touchdown.
That's right. And that was the case on the one that was called back for the touchdown throw. Samuel says, what they say, you have no quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. That is true. Landmine Believer wants our boy Booker at left tackle.
I'll tell you, so I don't think Booker would be a bad option there. Again, we got to find out health-wise where Booker is. But if Alabama wants to pay me to go out and get one of these quarterbacks, I guarantee you I can take them out a night on the town, give them a bag full of money, and I can get them recruited. Like, I don't understand. I go back to Tyler Van Dyke. I go back to Sam Hartman, and I've said this for weeks and months. How Alabama doesn't go try to land one of those guys makes no sense.
Well, somebody pointed out, the chat is moving very fast here, but somebody pointed out there were no SEC takers for Michael Penix. Did he just want to go to Washington? I mean, that guy is tearing it up. They're one of the best teams in the country, Washington is. And this is a guy that went from Indiana.
And I said this, as much as I love USC, I think Washington is the best team in the Pac-12 because the defense is tightened up. But Penix, he's just slinging it around. And Kalen DeBoer is just a great offensive mind. He really is.
Yeah, in Alabama, I don't know that they've got a great offensive mind. I have not been impressed by Tommy Rees at all. Now, is it some of it the tools? I'll tell you what I'm really not impressed with, though. Is everybody told me that, number one, this Alabama offensive line is as big as an NFL offensive line. That has not mattered one bit. And everybody else told me when they got this coach from Kentucky, hey, that is the guy. That offensive line's been terrible under him.
Terrible.
Awful under 2 years in a row. They have done nothing under that guy.
Like, I feel bad about our interview with Tyler Booker coming up.
Me too.
Because it's almost like you guys said y'all were going to be badass and y'all were dogs and you're going to dominate and lay it down and everybody's going to know this is old school Alabama football. It's been the complete opposite. They have gotten pushed around. And again, some kid from South Florida who had 4 solo tackles coming into the season had 3 sacks today in Daquan Evans.
I know you can't see it, Brown, but this was my tweet at halftime.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. It said, I said it all week. It's not just Milroe or Buckner or Simpson. It's offensive line. You can't do anything if your offensive line is not controlling things. And you don't have to control it every play, but I mean, every now and then throw us a bone and do something good.
I'm with the offensive line has been absolutely awful.
Yeah, I think Tommy Rees is going to become a problem, though. I like Tommy Rees. He's young, but I think he's going to start overthinking this because, you think about the stunts and the blitzes. South Florida was coming from everywhere. The adjustments were all over the place. And there was, again, the offense is not fluid. I really think Tommy Rees starts probably hearing the criticism. He overthinks it. And now you're rolling into SEC play without a quarterback, without an established quarterback. It's a big problem. They're going to lose a couple of games.
Yep. Without a quarterback.
A couple more games is what you're saying.
Yes.
Without a quarterback, without an offensive line, without any threat at receiver. Nye Black, did he make it? He didn't have a catch day, did he?
No,
I don't remember him doing anything. I mean, that was a guy who's
not very physical in the blocking part of the tight end's job either, Brown. So I think later in the game you saw other tight ends in there because of that reason. They made a couple of catches.
They did, and that was the best offensive play of the day was the pass Simpson made to the tight end. I mean, that was a gorgeous throw. I do think Simpson's got promise. I think you're done with Buckner. I don't know how you ever roll him out there again.
Yeah.
I think Simpson's, with time, I think he's got some promise. He does a lot of things right, but, I mean, there's just so much wrong.
Yeah.
Phil says he used to take a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback performance to beat Bama. Now anybody can do it any day, and he's right about that.
Hey, so Booker McFarland, they were doing a promo for Monday Night Football where the Panthers are playing this week, and they were talking about Bryce Young, and he's like, boy, I bet Bryce wishes he would have stayed. I disagree because Bryce made a fortune going number 1 overall, but Bryce looks like, he at least struggled in week 1. How different would this team be with Bryce Young?
I don't know if he would have survived the Texas game.
Well,
I think they would have won Texas game with him. I think they'd be 3-0.
I don't know, but I mean, when the camera guys walked off, we were getting basically the high 22. It did show you how open the receivers are a lot of times. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, now sometimes it was that Buckner was in the game at the time, Simpson at the very end of that. Sometimes they just didn't have any time to throw it, but sometimes they just weren't seeing the guys open. I mean, there were guys open.
Well,
hey, look, receivers are getting open.
Yeah, Jermaine Burton was wide open on that touchdown that went through his. Did it go through his hands? That's when we had the.
I don't know. I couldn't see. I was sitting in the upper deck. Basically,
I think it did. They went back to their replay, which was the same shot because they only had 2 camera shots: the end zone shot, and the damn press box shot. But I think that was on Burton. I think that was a touchdown. I think it went through his hands, and that's just one of those you got to make that kind of play. I mean, that was a good throw.
And I would like to say I'm pro-union, and I'm for workers in America. But how is it safe for the kids to actually come back and play the game, and 50,000 fans to come sit in the game?
The 57-year-old working the camera can't come back in.
But how come Joe in the high 20s can't come back? We don't have to put anybody up in the cranes or up on top of the scoreboard. I understand wind. But those 3 guys that go out on the photo deck who, sit right in front of me in the press box for 30 years, dude, you're sitting in the same place I am. You're more safe than the fans are. How can you not go do that?
So I was told, somebody texted me that works in the TV in this business, in the game production business, and said the problem is the standard for every other television network and the NCAA is 8 miles. And for whatever reason, ESPN's is 15 miles. So basically, any lightning strike within 15 miles of the stadium, their camera guys walk off.
Yeah,
they set the cameras and walk off, and then there's like the clock starts. Like any lightning strike within 15 miles resets the clock, just like it does with the game people.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why they were going so long, and that just seems a little over the top.
Yeah,
15 miles
again,
is a lot.
All for safety. And again, if we can't put anybody on the scoreboard or on a crane in the end zone or even down on the field, Brown, I would give you that one. But the guys who are basically undercover in the photo deck, it's called, right in front of Media Row, the high 20s, I think is the official term. Those guys are as safe as anybody else. If we're playing the game, if I'd have been at the stadium today, I'd have been Jimmy Cross the picket line. I'd been like, guys, y'all just want me to all you have to do, it's not gonna be great, but I'm just gonna move it like this, little of this, little of this. I'm gonna keep it in the frame. I'd cross that line.
Scott says RG3 had Bama fans begging for Gary Danielson back.
You're gonna get a bunch of that. You're gonna get a bunch of that.
But you're not next week. They are doing the Big Ten game next week. So Bama is getting the backup crew, which the way Bama played today, that's about what they deserve.
Yeah.
But they're getting the backup crew from CBS. So you're not getting Gary.
And I never am into the announcers or against this kind of philosophy. You hear that from fan bases, but I happen to have audio up on CBS at one point during a commercial break, and Nestler was doing the top 10 scores, and Brad Nestler, who has been very nice to us when he's on, but we've heard some rumblings before that maybe he is not always loved the way the whole relationship with Alabama has been. He did the top 10 scores, and Alabama was tied 3-3 or 10-3. They'd taken a 10-3 lead. And he said, and number 10, Alabama, struggling with South Florida. If they're number 10 next week, we'll have them against Ole Miss. But he even pointed out that you likely to see them drop the way they're playing today.
They need to drop. They're not.
They will. But it was a nice little point out by Brad Nestler there.
I got to tell you, one of our buddies today that said NIL has really changed the game. We've talked about this forever, but it really is so wide open. I mean, you guys tell me a dominant team you've seen. Georgia struggled today. I didn't get to watch it. I don't have CBS.
No, I did. No, they did. You said it right. They struggled. I mean, they won that game by 10. Spencer Rattler played his tail off. I got a whole new respect for Spencer Rattler. That guy's got some dog in him.
Well, there was a reason that he was like the number one quarterback coming out, and it was just like this. But now that he's got his confidence back, man, if he had an offensive line, I mean, again, imagine if Spencer Rattler would have transferred from Oklahoma to Alabama. It's a different game.
Hey, it was 2 halves. It really was. South Carolina outplayed them in the first half, and then Georgia dominated them in the second half.
Yeah, but still only won by 10. I mean, Georgia's got offensive issues. Mike Bobo, Auburn fans don't like Mike Bobo. South Carolina fans, I don't think, like Mike Bobo, and Georgia fans are already out of love with him. He's getting a whole lot of criticism. They're just really offensively challenged.
Yeah. Hey, this sounds weird. If get this straight, if the SEC was to play a Pac-12 schedule, are there any SEC teams that could go unscathed?
Brown is quickly saying no.
Well, the way LSU played today, they could, but we've already seen you don't get that LSU every week, right? We've already seen that.
I think Florida State played great that first game. I mean,
well, they did.
They struggled today with Boston College.
Hey, and if it's not for a face mask, the Boston College College might win that game.
Their coach kept going for 2. If their coach just keeps playing and kicks the extra points, they would have been fine. But he got sucked into chasing points.
So did Kirby Smart, by the way. So go ahead, Lance. I talked over you.
Yeah, Kirby did it. Yep.
This over in Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech going for it on 4th and goal and not getting it. Yeah, boy, that hurts.
I would tell you that Kirby comes right out of the gate. They drive down Brown, and I thought of you instantly because you preached this for years. And they scored a touchdown. It's 14-9. He goes for 2 right there. Boom. Now he gets it, but.
But it made no sense, really. I mean, like you're because to your point, Dunaway, it's straight out of the locker room. Your early second half, there is so much football game left. Why are you panicking like that? I don't understand that. Chris says LSU was down by 7 going to the 4th quarter against FSU. They played one bad quarter. They're going to be okay. Hey, if they play like they did today, they win the SEC. Period. They beat Georgia. They beat Alabama. Now I think State got exposed a little bit. I think maybe State's not very good.
That was.
But LSU dominated them.
That was
from the jump. From the jump, State was never in that game. Not 1 minute were they in that game.
Nope.
Yeah. I remember, Lance, when I caught a lot of heat in the summer when I didn't have Will Rogers, my top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC this year.
Will Rogers had a couple of drops today. I'm not blaming him. The offensive line was bad.
Oh, no. I just was saying because of the coaching change in the system, I just didn't think he would be top 5. I think he's perfectly fine, but I don't want him in Tampa.
But he would be the best option for Alabama or Auburn right now.
I can't argue with that. I'm not going to argue.
Well, Peyton Thorne has had a tough first half against Samford.
Give me a score on that one.
14-0 Auburn leads just before the half. Thorne, though, has already thrown 2 interceptions. Now he's thrown for 233 yards, but 2 picks against Samford. He's just not valuing the ball. 14-0 just before the half in that one.
I don't mind NIL, but I do think there's going to have to be some stipulations. Like if
play well to get it.
Yeah, I can't get the Longhorn Network, and it's supposed to be on DirecTV. Wyoming went up 7-0 with no time on the clock. Did they spot them 7? Because I think this will be the biggest bloodbath of the night. It's still 7-0 with 15 minutes to go in the first.
How is the NIL rules impacting the fact that you have Longhorn Network or not? Or was there a period in your sentence there?
Yeah. I do a lot of run-on sentences.
I thought you were making a point about NIL. We're going to have some stipulations with NIL.
No,
and I don't have the
think if you turn the football over a bunch and you lose me a game, then you don't get paid.
Interesting. Wyoming is up 7-0. It was a touchdown drive, 5 plays, 75 yards. The team that is in serious trouble is Tennessee. Florida is getting after them right now.
19 unanswered points, yeah.
Yeah, it is again, Billy Napier, the reason it's 19 is because he chased points. Joe Milton threw a horrible interception earlier, just a horrible interception. So yeah, it is this is in danger of really getting away from Tennessee.
Boys,
they don't play well there, Jimmy.
Buckle up. We're about to get a full-throated assault on the Southeastern Conference the rest of the year by the national media, coaches, national coaches, and everything. They've been lined up for years. They've been waiting for a long, long time to take their shot at the SEC. And because of quarterback play, we are going to get I mean, you better be unbeaten because we're going to get left out of the playoffs this year. A gut feeling right now, unless Georgia can run the table.
You want another crazy score? Talk about a coach that, by the way, Matt Campbell had to be held back by his security. Have y'all seen that video today?
No.
He's walking off the field now. It's obviously staged. You know, some guy's standing by the fence while another guy's videoing him. So they're trying to get a reaction. But he comes by, Matt Campbell walks by, and the guy's just hammering him. And he goes, "You're on the hot seat now, Matt. You're on the hot seat." He spins around and is coming after the guy, and his security has to hold him back. So starting to get a little thin skin for Matt Campbell there. They had a bunch of guys that were out on the gambling deal. But another coach that might soon be on the hot seat is Mike Gundy. South Alabama is up 23-0 in that game in Stillwater right before the half.
Okay, so
23-0.
Yeah, my 11 o'clock games, I bailed out on all three. They were 3-0. I bailed out late on Florida and South Alabama. I mean,
you'd be way up right now.
I got to go back to my renegade gut.
Well, you've had a good day, though. What are you right now?
No, I'm not good. I'm looking at my board.
Ohio State.
I'm 2-4 with a lot left.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a heavy primetime schedule here.
Yeah.
Way to go, Brown.
My bad. I paid attention to the ones I remembered us bringing up, and I thought he'd done pretty well there.
I'm 3-2, not trending well with Tennessee, and then Pitt and Georgia Tech. So the Tennessee loss is going to make me 3-3, and then Pitt and Georgia Tech.
You ain't trending well with Georgia Tech either.
I'm not. So 3-4. So Pitt's going to keep me from having a losing day, but I'll bounce back. We're going to bounce back for you.
Luke said he thought Chris Budden pointing out nobody on the sideline getting in people's faces yelling at them was concerning. I thought so too, Dunaway. That's very concerning.
Yeah, it is. And I trust Chris that she has been down there before to know what it looks like when they're being led and what a sideline looks like. So I trust her reporting. If it was anyone else other than Chris Budden, I wouldn't necessarily trust your reaction to a sideline, having not been there, a lot in your career. But I trust Chris.
I got to be honest. I think we all like Nick Saban. We respect him. We consider him the greatest of all time. But since he stopped really chewing ass, it's been different. Like, if I'm an Alabama fan, I want him to go back to the old way, and where it's nothing but football, and where he gets on people's asses. It's a little different. Do you guys agree that since the change, it really has changed?
Yeah, I mean, he's not the same guy he was. His former players say that he has changed. And I think Alabama fans want to see, maybe not Kool-Aid. I mean, Kool-Aid made a bonehead play, but Kool-Aid does a lot for you. So maybe not him, but maybe when that offensive line's coming off the field after Caden Proctor is a turnstile and Saban gets in their face a little bit. That's what Alabama fans want to see out of him right now. Now, he doesn't care. He didn't give a rip what you want to see out of him. He's going to do it his way. But Dunaway, don't you agree that Alabama fans want to see him chew somebody's butt coming off the field right now because that's how they feel?
Well, I hope it's because, he's around them and they have psychologists and all that. And he knows which ones he can ride. And, maybe it's just not to sound like it's Bull Durham, but maybe that's just the state of the 2023 athlete that they can't handle a good old fashioned ass chewing. But, he's usually pretty good on the psychology of a team. So maybe he just knows this team is down and out and needs to be loved on. But I would agree with you guys about, I missed him ass chewing somebody. And maybe that cranks back up this week a little bit. Maybe it does. I don't know.
Lance, what is the Ole Miss Jackson Dart is playing pretty well again?
Well, I mean, it's been 2 first and goals where I get no points, and I've got an over there.
No, but I wanted to ask you, what do you think?
Jackson Dart missed that throw. If he throws it 2 inches in front, touchdown.
Yeah.
The point spread is for this game next week at Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I got that question a lot, LT. So what do you think right now? Let's say Ole Miss goes on and wins this game 38-10.
That's probably right because it'll go under. I think Alabama's going to be a 7-point favorite.
Boy, it'd be hard not to take Ole Miss right now when it's Dunaway.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, you gotta remember that Alabama's still going to get inflated on the brand because you get some dude from Albuquerque that's in Vegas and he's like, "Oh my gosh, Alabama's only a 7-point favorite," so they're still going to get inflated. Not a good team right now. I think you can probably get a lot of value. I saw somebody in the chat room, it might have been Bobby, saying South Florida plus 32.5 is a lot. I took a good look at them. I was talking to some people that were over here today, and I was like, this is before the game, I really kicked myself for not putting South Florida in my rotation today. And that was one of those, I mean, you never sweated it, ever.
Oh, yeah. Never. I mean, I was worried about them winning the game, honest to goodness, most of the game.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever think they were actually going to lose, though?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, when it was 3-3, I kept expecting a bad interception or a scoop and score on one of those sacks. And then when it was 10-3 and they still threw the ball a couple of times with Ty Simpson, I mean, the guy's a freshman. I thought, no experience. Throws a soft one out in the flat, pick six, and it's 10-10, and then something goes south. You get to overtime, you lose the game. I mean, the old ingredients of an upset was there all day long in this contest. 100%.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of 2007, and I see a lot of similarities, which is really sad. And it's going to be really sad for Alabama fans if this is a year Nick Saban really does shut it down, because it looks a lot like that first team, which blows me away because of the recruiting. I mean, we had Clad on. Clad said, and I forgot what the consensus is, but he's like, the most talented team according to recruiting is Alabama still.
Yeah, but who do you see that looks like, let's just judge it based on a guy that can go play in the NFL, a first-round draft pick. Who in the 22 is a first-round draft pick for Alabama?
I don't see anybody that I would take.
I mean, people would say the corner, right? McKinstry.
Yeah,
I like Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid is going to be one of those.
I think he will be. Yeah,
but I don't know if he'd be a first-round guy. Dallas Turner doesn't play like it these days.
Nope. I think maybe Caleb Downs. Did he ever get welcome to college football? He got blasted.
Mighty.
Woo!
I haven't seen a hit like that since that Auburn running back ran over the guy, made his helmet come off. I think somebody had a good still shot of that.
It was Xavier McKinney.
Yeah.
We got his helmet knocked off. Kool-Aid, I think Kool-Aid could be. I think Caleb Downs could develop. He's a true freshman. Reichert is the best draft pick for his position, but you wouldn't take a kicker first round.
No, Caleb Downs is going to be a first-round guy in a couple of years. He's going to be great. Yeah. I mean, that was just one of those, the leverage, he was a little low on that. He got blown up. I respect he is in on almost every play. Yeah. He's a complete headhunter.
Yeah. And Bryce says he hasn't been good, average at best. He's a true freshman. I mean, I think, this is his third game as a starter. I'm going to give him a little bit of a break. I mean, the guy's a true freshman.
Oh, I think he's good.
Yeah, I like him. JM says Terrion Arnold has been playing very well. He got a little handsy against Texas. He had that kickoff return for a touchdown. He's obviously a playmaker. And he makes the plays on defense, Dunaway, but he did get a little bit handsy against Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like,
I really thought this was going to make me feel better, but it doesn't. It has not.
No, the thing I like Arnold. I think the thing about McKinstry and Arnold is those guys are ultra confident, which you've got to be at that position. Yeah. So, again, I don't think the defense is a problem at all. Last week it was pass defense against Quinn Ewers. This week it was rush defense against South Florida. Defense can be fine. They've got to figure something out offensively, though.
Yeah, but that rush defense, Dunaway, a lot of that came from the quarterback. Again, Alabama it has plagued the Saban era. They play so much man-to-man that when a quarterback breaks contain, everybody's got their back to him. And that has been a problem in the Saban era, and there's really no fixing that problem. I mean, what are you going to do about it, right? When you play man-to-man, you got your back to the line of scrimmage. I don't know what else you do. But the quarterback took big-time advantage. Byron Brown, he had 92 rush yards, but he ran the ball 23 times. So, they gave him 177 run yards. Most of that came from the quarterback. But South Florida couldn't throw to save their life. So,
no. I mean, this was South Florida. Like LT said, they lost to who? Western Kentucky, and they beat FAMU.
Yeah,
not a good team.
I mean, the fact that this was a game that you couldn't just come out there in your crisp whites and crimson helmet and crimson piping and just do the basics and manhandle them.
Oh, I'll bet my junk they're not a bowl team.
Who, South Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, I think they're a 3 or 4 win team.
Yeah.
I think they might be like a 3-9.
Hey,
And this is one of those games where Alabama in the past, it used to be like, and we've laughed and joked and talked about it. Alabama was like, take Alabama in the first half, and they covered at least 3 out of 4 in the first half. But this is a team that can't score right now. And I mean, you know, we kind of joke about this, but I think it's going to be a long-term problem this year for Alabama.
Listen, I'm adamant every year that Alabama and UAB should play each other in basketball. Every year, home and away, every year. But for those that hope one day Alabama and UAB play each other on the football field, this did not help your case today. Games like this did not help your case today. And the fact that they had basically UAB's uniform on did not help either.
They look a lot like
same
UAB.
league now and
Yeah.
all that. Just
Hey,
that's why I'm for it.
Fan and going to Tampa, wasting that money and sitting in that shitty ass weather.
Yep. Hey,
Hot
listen, man. This is why, you know, when you tell me, Jim, would you like to play 12 Power 5 games? Yes. Because I'd rather slop around and win one 17-3 against another Power 5 or lose it outright than I would to be on the same field with a not Power 5 team.
Hey,
Zane, real quick, let me address this. Zane says Otis was played close. Saban said afterwards he had an ankle injury. Booker had back spasms. Otis had an ankle injury, and Kendrick Law had an illness. So that was injured. Those were injuries.
All that said, it took Alabama over 40 minutes to score a touchdown against South Florida.
Yep.
They used to score touchdowns on their first drive within first like 3 or 4 plays. I would sit here with buddies, and I would take the other side. They'd be like, I guarantee you Bama's going to score within 3 plays. And I'd be like, I'll go $100. Not going to happen. Second play, 27 seconds in, touchdown. It took them 40 minutes today.
Somebody asked last time they only scored 3 points and a half, the first half. And it may go back to game of the century. I don't know if it goes back that far, but I can't think of another time. It may go back to the game of the century, the last time Alabama only scored 3 points in the first half. JM says Malachi Moore might be our best player right now.
He was great today. He really was.
Yeah, I agree.
He was making plays. Again, defense is going to be fine. Defense will keep them in every game. Offense is going to really cost them.
I mean, Ole Miss, to your point, they've only got 10 points against Georgia Tech, and they're closing in on halftime here. So it's not as if, you know, they're world beaters.
Yeah, I have gotten completely jerked on that game, though. If you've watched that game, that game's a complete over. Again, we readjust. We're transparent at Lance'sLock.com. It has not been a good start today, 2-4. A ton of games to go, including Michigan laying a shit ton of points, only up 7-6. But much like Iowa, I don't know if you guys watch this, and Brian Ferentz, and I think it's so fascinating to watch this team this year because, and I loved it, because they could have sat on the clock and just gone home winning, but they got inside the red zone and they're like, we're going to try to score with less than 2 minutes to go up comfortably.
Yeah. Gosh. A fun one I was going to throw up here. Josh reminded me of the 2021 Iron Bowl. I'd forgotten about that, the overtime game. That was definitely 3 points and a half. Zane says, what do you think the score would have been if Milroe had started? You know, he'd have been flushed a lot, so he'd have been able to make plays with his legs because he wouldn't have time to stand back there. I really do. I think Alabama, they don't run them out of the stadium. You'd have still been a little bit depressed, but it wouldn't have been anything like this with Milroe starting.
Yeah, 31-3.
Yeah.
I think the quarterback controversy is over. Again, I don't like you guys. I really haven't heard anything. Apparently, he wasn't going to play today. But if moving forward, if he is, you know, out of the doghouse, healthy, whatever, he has got to be your quarterback moving forward.
Hey, and maybe it works. Jay Coker has told us, and he said it on Elephant in the Room on Disrupt the Media a couple of times, that after he got benched to start the Ole Miss game, when he came in that game and the rest of the year, he was like, you know, he felt different. He was like, I'm just going to sling it around. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. I just know now they know I'm the best option we got. And he played with a little less pressure. So maybe that happens for Milroe too. He comes back in and he's seen what his competition looks like. And
Yeah.
He's able to play a little bit more freer. By the way,
I don't know how you guys feel about this, but if I'm Nick Saban and Tommy Rees, I pull him in a room this week if, again, he is eligible, out of doghouse, healthy. And I tell him, hey, look, off record, you are our only chance to do something special this year.
We're totally dependent on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't want to have any division in the quarterback room, but you are the guy. You need to be our dog. You need to get after it. If not, we're going to lose 2 or 3 games. So if you want to do something special, win a championship, it's on you, and it's all yours. That's what I would say.
No pressure, kid. Pat on the butt.
Yeah.
Turn on the lights. Here we go.
Go get him, son.
By the way, 107 passing yards today for Alabama. Is the fewest Alabama football has had since 2017. This is from the university, when it finished with 96 passing yards and a win over Florida State. That was the game the Florida State quarterback got hurt.
2007 or 2007.
Yeah, it says 2017 here. Is that a mistype?
Yeah. I don't think they put. No, it was 07. That game down in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Tide
Tide
had 111 passing yards versus Texas A&M last season. That was the Jalen Milroe game.
Hey, it is pissing here. This feels like, is this
right?
like the aftermath of what we got in Tampa?
Yes.
Because all my TVs are down.
Oh no!
That's why you got to go to the stream. No more rain fade, my friend.
That's right. I'm on stream, baby. I got everything kicking right now. That's unfortunate. Well, we need the rain. I'm glad we're getting it.
Hey, and LT, on one TV over here, my YouTube TV, it gives you multitask. On one TV, I got BYU, Arkansas, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, and a couple other games that are at commercial right now. But good games. And then big TV, I got Tennessee and Florida and Pitt and West Virginia.
Yeah, I got nothing. So.
Lance has got the spinning wheel. All right,
got
guys.
Chili and Bullet.
I do have Chili and Bullet, and they've been good today. Bullet pissed one time, like snuck in a piss, but they've been really good today. So I appreciate that. My picks hadn't been good, but we got a ton to go. We've got 2 games that still haven't kicked, and we've got a couple of games that look okay. We're still going to have a win a day. I feel like that.
Auburn's up 17-0 at the half. Florida's up 26-7 on Tennessee at the half. About to go to the half in Vegas. Vandy and UNLV tied at 17. Ole Miss up 10-0 with about 3:20 to go. Arkansas jumped out 14-0, and BYU has come storming back. It's 21-14 in that one.
Team does not quit.
By the way, the Wyoming touchdown, I just saw the highlight, was basically an off-tackle run for like 65 yards.
I was a little surprised, Lance, you were this big on Texas, because I really thought they'd be flat in this game.
Well, you know, what's weird is I was talking to Luganville this week about Florida State, and he's like, Florida State is going to scorch earth. They're not going to let up. They let up today. They were lucky to win that game.
Yeah.
I felt Texas kind of the same way. I mean, it's so easy for Sark to sell this as if you lose to Wyoming, a team that beat Texas Tech after trailing by 17, the Alabama win is nothing for us.
Yeah.
So I think they would be motivated coming back, playing in front of a crowd that is super excited about, hey, we've got a legitimate playoff contender. And it's still early. I still think Texas will, iron whatever out. I think they'll end up winning this game by a good margin. I mean, again, earlier today, Iowa was down 7-0. They ended up covering 30 points. So
the red bandana game with Florida State for Boston College. I'd love to know the history of how much they play. They don't win them all. I just want to know how much they cover in those games. They
well, you know what the difference was, Dunaway? The dude's mom came in today and talked to us.
Oh, it's every game. Every red bandana game, she does that. Yeah.
God damn it. Jesus Christ.
What's happening?
They're playing too hard and they're wrecking shit up. Y'all got to calm down. Sorry.
Not Brown and me, Bullet and Chili.
Not Brown and me.
Okay.
So I don't have people singing here. It's a low-key night, but my 2 Velociraptors. Like some guys.
But it's also only 7:45, so I didn't expect any drunken singing yet. All right, I think we've covered everything we can cover. We'll come back and do it again on Monday. Let you guys marinate on this a little bit, unless something insane happens and Auburn's up 17-0. The only insane thing I could think of is either Mike Norvell and Deion Sanders fisticuffs, or Auburn losing to Sanford.
Jay Norvell.
Jay Norvell, excuse me.
It'd be odd for Mike Norvell to fly from Boston to Boulder.
Well, why are you even at the game? That would be.
You wanted my job, bro. You wanted your job.
All right, give us a thumbs up.
Hey, I love Mark saying, "Dude, don't have dogs if you can't deal with them." Fuck you, Mark. I can deal with dogs. I've been doing it for years. Both of these are rescues. There's a reason they've been rehomed. There's a reason one was in the woods for years. So I got them. It's just
I'll tell you, South Alabama update 23-0 at the half. South up on Oak State. All right, give us a
Gundy's framing it up. Gundy's framing it up.
Going somewhere. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Please give us a thumbs up. Make sure you follow us at Next Round Live on all social media. All right, boys. Y'all enjoy the night games. We'll let you know if we're back, but I think that's probably going to do it for the night. We'll talk to you guys 9 o'clock on Monday.
Hey, I need a good week
Dunaway
next week.
7 on Monday. You need a good week for what?
7 a.m. I need a good week next Monday through Friday. I just want everybody to be nice and love each other, be happy. I need a little good energy for this Alabama team before Ole Miss comes to town.
Yeah, we'll pick them up, man.
Bullets all in.
Bullets in. Lance getting some tongue. All right, boys.
Get on an edible.